Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me tonight. I am here to tell you this is going to be a pretty good broadcast, especially if you're one of those nurses that wants to open their own nurse-based business. I sure do hope that everybody had a great day today. And I know I did. I was lucky enough to get up and go to my office at 7 in the morning. And by noon, I was out on the golf course. So that's one of the benefits of a nurse having their own business. I'm able to make my own schedule. And I know that there are a lot of you out there that would like to have and enjoy the same lifestyle, having your own nurse-based business. Now, you all know, oh, and I see people pulling in. Okay, terrific. So, if you're joining me, go ahead, let me know who you are, where you're watching from, and at any time, I'll be checking the chat if anyone has a question specific to scope of practice as a nurse, opening your own nurse-based business. Please go ahead, put them in the chat. I'll get them answered as best I can. And I feel like I am a real authority when it comes to deciding whether or not you can legally open up your own nurse-based business without medical supervision, meaning no doctor to pay. That is important to keep us working as independently as possible. So let's see, I just want to get in here, and if you can all hear me well too, please give me a thumbs up every once in a while. I have my glitches with my technology, and I like to make sure everybody out there can hear me. So, okay, I have Jill in the house. Awesome, Jill. And if anyone else, just make sure you give me a thumbs up if this is something that might really help you out in deciding that you should go ahead and now is the time to open your nurse-based business. Now, what I'm going to do is there are, oh yeah, hey Elvie, there are some out here that I haven't seen before in the chat boxes. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm Stephanie Helvig. I'm a registered nurse with an associate's degree, and I own my own practice, RN Faces, where I provide aesthetic services. I also am the owner of the RN Faces Skin Classic, which is a device which helps skincare professionals elevate their practice by being able to treat minor skin imperfections. So my business is dually based, but I do not have a physician in my world in either one. So let me just kind of clue you in on what I do, and I'll give you other ideas of what other nurse-based businesses there are and the differences in, say, my aesthetic practice and maybe another cosmetic nurse that does injections. So let me just go through here and stop me at any time if for some reason you need some questions answered. So my journey started in 1993. Actually, 1982 is when I became a nurse, and I had a very successful surgical career, like at Emory Medical University, South Carolina, Atlantic City Medical Center, lots of different places, traveling nurse as well. But in 1993, I wanted to branch out and start my own business, and I wanted to become a cosmetic nurse. And the place I started was with permanent makeup. So you can see that in 1993, I was covered by our Atlantic City Press with my new practice, which actually started the whole ball rolling for me. 3 months after I started my nurse-based business without a physician, I immediately went per diem. So I was never full time that I didn't want to be. So I needed time for my own business. I was helping my husband with his chiropractic practice. So very, very busy, but luckily I was able to start that nurse-based business. Sorry, I should know better. Anyway, so in 1993, I started that. And in 2000 is when I started working with skin like microdermabrasion, dermaplaning, taking care of minor skin imperfections. For those of you that don't really know kind of what it is I do, maybe you're just tuning in. So this is where I am today, teaching minor skin imperfections. And for those of you looking to get into the skincare portion of nursing, this is a great opportunity, but there's many other opportunities out there, and I'd love to hear what it is you guys are either doing or what it is you want to do, or how you feel like addressing. So I'm yeah, so I make individuals super happy by treating their minor skin imperfections, their skin integrity. And this really builds self-esteem. People love to look better. So that's what I do. Also, I do things like microdermaplaning, which is a very popular service in the aesthetic industry. Also,
It's a
I'm going to
full-time
get through
job
without
and
you
it's
having to
extremely
watch the videos, but microdermabrasion I love to do, and all of these procedures I teach as well
I'm
to
using a diamond
other nurses
encrusted
wanting
handpiece.
to start their business. Here is, I do like to share this quick video because for those of you who are nurses and you want to feel nursey about your business, you want to care for people, you want to help them out, and you do want to know that you're in scope of practice, just take a peek at this. This was done during a training when I was training another nurse in San Antonio, Texas. This nice woman presented with many skin tags. She felt everyone was staring at her. We treated those, removed some of them because this was a nurse in a medical office, but she didn't need the medical office to do this. And so you can see how beautiful her skin looked like within 1 week. She was ecstatic. She actually cried after the procedure, not because it hurt, but because she was so happy. So, I deal with a lot of wonderful estheticians. They already know how great this makes them feel when they have their clients come back with their skin looking normal, just normal is what some people are going for. So there are a lot of things that I do in my practice. And so now I want to show you how I got to that point where I could say, I can do this. I know I can do it. I'm not going to have to worry about the board of nursing, the medical board. I'm not going to worry about any of that. And I'll show you exactly how I do that. And I know for some of you, it might not be easy because you may be thinking, I want to take this course, but it's expensive. And I do want to open that office, but I don't want to pay for rent unless I really, really know I can do this. Your family may be saying, hey, Steph, come on, can you really do this? How do you know that the nursing board's not going to come in and close you down? Well, I'm here to tell you, they're not going to do that, just the opposite. They really stay out of your business, and there's a big reason why. Now, this was let me just make myself smaller here. So this isn't to blow my own horn that I was featured in Nurse Week magazine many years ago, but it's meant to show you that this is something that has gained popularity over the years. Many nurses have been noticed in print with their practices, how they my thing is I like to treat the blind for free. Some of the nurses out there treat burn victims or whatever their maybe Parkinson's disease, things like that. I've always had a reason I wanted to work with people. And so Nurse Week picked that up. And there are many other nurses that do lots of very interesting businesses. So all you have to do is put your thinking cap on and what it is that you think you have loved for a long time. Now, let me show you how I come to the conclusion that I can do these procedures. Now, um, what I also like to do is align myself with organizations that recognize that nurses should be in business. National Nurses Business Association is a fabulous place to start. If you want to start your business and want to know the nuts and bolts about perhaps making an LLC, a sole proprietor, you need to start right here. This group is phenomenal, and every year we do have a conference. This year coming up in August 3rd through the 5th in Las Vegas. So you will be able to, if you decide to join and come, you'll be with like-minded nurses who go through all the same questions, concerns, and great ideas are hatched at the National Nurses and Business Association. So I joined that in them along with like the Dermatology Nurse Association. So my thing is skin. So I'm going to innately align myself with organizations that love skin. So that would be Dermatology Nurse Association. There's also the National Aesthetic Spa Network Association. That one is free to join, and that is on my page where you are watching. And I will be in California this upcoming Monday. So if you are in the area of Tustin, please hit me up and you can see what it is I do. Okay, so now years ago, I knew I could start my permanent makeup business because permanent makeup really wasn't under the scope of nursing and it wasn't under the scope of Board of Cosmetology back in 93. So my practice was governed under the Board of Health. But even in those days, 93, I wasn't even inspected. But as a nurse, I kept my standards high in my office. But when it came to starting off in skin, I wanted to be that aesthetic nurse that could provide microdermabrasion, dermaplaning, skincare, all of those things. But I needed to know how I could do it. I wanted to invest in a $7,000 machine, which is very dicey when you don't actually know. Well, my scope of practice in Colorado's algorithm reads like this. And for those nurses that are watching, if you go to your board of nursing, simply go to scope of practice, or you'll find usually an algorithm like this, or what you will find is a paragraph like this. This is that algorithm, but in paragraph form. So these are very important terms for all of you guys to start looking at. So the algorithm will read like this. And I know we have some nurses in the chat right now. So they want to know, have you been taught this skill in your basic nursing program? So say you want to endeavor in a massage business and maybe bring in other nurses to do massage as well. Excuse me. Well, massage was taught in our basic nursing practice. We were taught to massage our clients to help them relax, to go to sleep. That was something we were taught. Now, if I wanted to open that massage business, as a prudent nurse, I probably would take some more classes or seek someone who could train me either one-on-one or in a group to further my knowledge on massage and really round out my practice. But because we were taught to care for skin, we were taught to care for feet, we were taught to wash hair, even cut hair. All of those things we were taught and maybe didn't spend hours in a classroom like perhaps maybe a cosmetologist does, but we were able to put our hands on these clients without doctor's orders. So that's very important. And if it wasn't included in your basic nursing practice, then did you take a comprehensive course? For instance, I have a comprehensive course on opening your own skin care business. And I train nurses to do dermaplaning, microdermabrasion, taking care of the minor skin imperfections, microneedling, and I teach them comprehensively and how to open their practice like I have. I have friends in the industry. You probably know Heather Finley Wilson. She's the famous foot care nurse, and she's all over TikTok and LinkedIn. She offers a comprehensive course for nurses to learn to be foot care specialists and open their own practice without a physician. It's how this works. So, I'll basically be talking kind of like about my practice, but if you have a question in the chat, let me know how you maybe are questioning how this would fit into your world. And you want to know, has this task become so routine in nursing literature and in the nursing practice? It can be reasonably and prudently assumed within scope. So there are many nurses. I trained many nurses in Colorado alone, as well as throughout the United States. But I have a high concentration of them in Colorado, where I spent many years training. And is the task in your hiring agency policy and procedure manual? Well, I'm a one-man band, so I don't have to have that. But if for some reason I can quickly and easily put together my protocol manual. And that is very easy for us as nurses with our flow sheets and our policies, procedures, that type of thing. And does carrying on the duty pass the reasonable and prudent standard for nursing? If you are doing your procedures by the book, yes, you're being prudent, and it's what other nurses are as well doing in their practices. So that's one way to really think about your algorithm. And I think it's really important to get used to answering those questions very positively for yourself. Um, and let's see here. Okay, so in 2000, I wanted to open that practice, right? But I had that $7,000 machine looming over my head and I wanted proof. Well, I'm here to tell you, you really won't get proof. I was just super lucky that there was another nurse in Colorado prior to me that actually did the procedure during a board meeting because she wanted to practice independently. And so you might not be able to read this, but I'll read you some of it here. Um, so after discussion, the board determined that microdermabrasion therapy is within scope of practice of professional nursing. They further clarified that such practice falls within the independent practice of nursing for those nurses who have specialized knowledge, judgment, and skill to provide the therapy. The independent practice does not require supervision by a person licensed under the law of the state to practice medicine, podiatry, or dentistry. It goes on to say that the independent practice of professional nursing includes providing therapy and treatment that is supportive and restorative to life and well-being. So this nurse provided that, and I have this original letter that has the embossment on it. I've kept this for years. So the Board of Nursing still said to me, Stephanie, go by the algorithm. We do have this letter, but go by the algorithm. If you feel like you're within scope, then you can do it. I said, well, okay. I said, but look, I'm doing, I want to do dermaplaning. Can I apply this? They wouldn't say, yes, you could apply the letter, but they said, go through your algorithm. So I couldn't get a letter for everything I did. I was just super lucky in my state that this went down during a board meeting. So you won't always find that, but trust the process. This is where you have to like think as a business person. And if other people are doing it, you don't know of anyone, I don't, that has gotten caught up and not been able to practice. And I got a cease and desist, and it is coming up right now. Let me see here. So the cease and desist that I got was from the Board of Cosmetology. They slapped me with this, and you know what? I felt myself very lucky to have gotten this because I was the one they targeted. And I had already trained many nurses in Colorado to act independently. And I don't know that they would have been able to stand up to the pressure that the Board of Cosmetology put on me. But I knew my statutes, I knew my regulations, I knew the truth. So let's see. They said that I was practicing without a cosmetology license. And they also went on to say that I was training other people, that it was unlawful for me to do that, that they had emailed me and as a customer, and I said that I would certainly train them only if they were a nurse. Now, I wouldn't be training anyone who needed to go to aesthetic school. And even in Colorado, if I wanted to train somebody to do microdermabrasion, they couldn't come to my class. They had to do a 15-hour class through one of their schools. So there were some things that were very clear, and I didn't cross those lines. So I was definitely within scope. I was treating skin with microdermabrasion, dermaplaning, so it truly ruffled their feathers that there was someone out there taking from their cottage industry. And you can, as a nurse, you can go to a presentation, a training course. It doesn't have to be in your state. You can go out of state to take a course, your CEUs, all of that. So you are allowed to do that. This cease and desist, they really tried to hammer it down to me and said in here that I had 10 days to cease and desist, and that they at that point were going to get the attorney general and the nursing board involved. So they suggested that I hire an attorney and get back to them in 10 days. And I got back to them within 10 days, but I didn't have an attorney. I went through, and I'll show you what I did. And these are all in the slideshow. If you are wanting to read these, I think I'll post these on my RN Faces Facebook page, so that you can see these in their entirety. You can read them and you can see what bullies they were and thought that they could have me close up shop and put my tail between my legs, but not so. Um, After I wrote to them, and I think I might have my slides mixed up here. I sent them all of the regulations, like I was practicing permanent makeup through the Department of Health, not the Department of Cosmetology. And let me just see here for a second before okay. Well, I have my rebuttal to them, but this is the lovely letter. So I get the first complaint from the Board of Cosmetology, and it could have rattled just about anybody's cage. And you first open it and you're like, oh crap. Well, I got into the heightened mode where I was going to show them that I could practice. So I sent them back my Nurse Practice Act, my regulations, what I was doing. I wasn't crossing the line. And they wound up calling the Attorney General's office on me as well. So I sent a letter to the Board of Nursing and I shared with them the cease and desist, and they really couldn't help me with it. You'll read in some of the emails. I'm going to post all of these on my RN Faces Facebook page tonight so that you can see them pretty large. and be able to see exactly how I handled it. Now, I didn't do anything elaborate. I went down one by one. Each thing that they had to complain about me, I had a one line answer with maybe a link, and that was it. I did not hire an attorney, and they promptly set it in motion and contacted the Attorney General's office. So I really liked this part. Now, you'll have to excuse me. Um, a Jersey girl at heart, and when you rile up a Jersey girl nurse, you're playing with fire. So after I berated the Board of Cosmetology on the phone, they called the Attorney General's office, and the Attorney General's office called me. The Attorney General called me, Stephanie Halvick, RN, and said, Stephanie, let's be reasonable. And I said, what do you mean by reasonable? And she said, well, look, the Board of Cosmetology is just trying to protect the public. That's when I had it. I said, are you effing kidding me? The Board of Cosmetology is trying to protect the public from a registered nurse? You're crazy. I said, I'm not going to cease and desist. I'm not getting an attorney. And that's it. That's my final word. So we didn't hang up nicely. I didn't hang up on her, but I said, this is closed as far as I am concerned. So she said, I'm sorry, Steph, we're really going to have to send this over to the nursing board. I said, fine, be my guest, send it over. So I have the correspondence right here from the nursing board dismissing the Board of Cosmetology's case. They said, due to lack of merit, the case was closed. So I was able to send this letter right back to the Board of Cosmetology, and they never bothered me once again, and they've never bothered another nurse. They have tried to take action on a nurse that I know, and she took legal action, and they stopped with their shenanigans. So, and she wasn't somebody that I had trained at that time. So, um, all was well that ended well. I did not need to close up shop. I could hold my head up high. I could also go back to teaching my nurses my craft that I had perfected. I had gone to many different trainings. I was able to pick up all kinds of new nuggets to help our people. And if you know anything about me, and say my Skin Classic or my trainings, I totally support and have been supporting nurses in practices that I have actually taught them in since 2002. So for a very long time, I've been in the business and feel like I'm well respected and know how to read my algorithm. Now, would I go out on a limb and say, I guarantee? No, I wouldn't do that because boards of nursing can at some point change. So, what you want to be aware of when you are looking at your board of nursing is, of course, the algorithm, like we talked about. In your search bar, go ahead and search like keywords like microdermabrasion or Botox. If you are looking to get into Botox and fillers, that is absolutely something where you do need a physician, and those laws and regulations can vary greatly between the states of who needs to be present when they're done. So you really do need to read those. But I'm mainly talking about independent practices without physicians. So you want to, in the keywords, look for certain words like microdermabrasion, maybe skin tags, maybe dermaplaning, laser, whatever it is that you feel like you can do without a physician. Go ahead and put the keywords in there. If you don't find anything, then you didn't find any regulation that prohibits you from doing it. So, for instance, um, in certain states, there are opinions not regulations, not rules, that a nurse should have a physician in their world. And one in particular, I know this because I spoke to the Board of Nursing in the state of Louisiana. And my nurse wanted to, this was years ago, wanted to do the microdermabrasion, the skin care, the skin classic. And she was ready to pull the trigger, but she wasn't sure. So I helped her comb through her nursing board in Louisiana. And what I found was an opinion that the nurses wanting to do this particular kind of business have a supervising physician. So I got on the hotline to the nursing board, and Louisiana was very gracious. Most nursing boards still don't really answer your questions. They refer you to that dang algorithm. And for you nurses, it's a little hard to jump in with both feet when you don't get that solid answer. But this was what happened. So I spoke to her about the opinion. And she said, Steph, it's only our opinion. It's not a rule or a regulation. If this nurse wants to open her practice and work independently, that is up to her. She can do it. She said, however, she goes, if there was a problem, maybe a lawsuit or a complaint, that's when the nursing board would get involved. And what the nursing board typically does at that point is asks the nurse, why do you feel like you can do this independently without a physician? And if the nurse is savvy and says, I took a training course that included didactic and clinicals, which is super important. Just don't go on YouTube and learn how to microderm. Get someone to show you. Start working with live clients with your mentor. So if you have been trained and you can go through your algorithm, then probably nothing will happen. If you were a fly by night and just started doing these procedures because you watched a few videos, well, they may not take too kindly to that. But again, it's only their opinion. It's not a rule or regulation. So we do like to check the nursing boards. And from time to time, that opinion could change. Maybe there is a ruling. Maybe a lot of the doctors got together and honestly, that's like what happened in California. The doctors feel like the nurses are taking a piece of their pie, so they have a big voice out there, and they may take these procedures for themselves, even though you damn well know they don't want to do them, but they don't want to give up any ground. So sometimes those lobbying bodies can be a real challenge, and California is one of them, but I do know some independent practices out there. So I'd like to see how they handle theirs as well, but nobody that I taught out there. So it's important to do that. Go to your state regulation. It's super easy to sleep at night for me knowing that I am legal. Now, what if the nursing board does come to you at some point in the future and says, well, we've changed our opinion. This is a rule or regulation. You have to work with a physician. Well, that would be upsetting. It hasn't happened. Our Nurse Practice Act hasn't changed in like over 100 years. So I'm not sure that's going to change unless there are unsafe practices that are getting noticed by the Board of Nursing. So just know that you can do these procedures. And if anybody has any questions, like maybe what you do in your own practice, oh, you're welcome, Keisha. That's awesome. And so let's see here. Uh, Pretty much finished, unless let me just check my slideshow here. Yes, so for those of you that do want to start a skin integrity practice, I do that as well, and that is something that you could easily get into. The procedures are fun. You're always helping people look better, feel better. And I've been doing that for years with nurses. And with all of these procedures, if you want to get any of these videos, they're all on my RN Faces Facebook page. I don't really want to bore everybody with
Fissures in the
them,
wall.
but we hosted many parties, Skin Classic parties uh, to perform these services like the dermaplaning, the microdermabrasion, the Skin Classic, always a big hit. And like I said, I've been training nurses for such a long time. And you can go to my LinkedIn page where I have lots of testimony. Um, oh, this was from the barber and cosmetology. Yes, some of the things that they were telling me was um, that my primary service is to consult and train individuals in advanced skincare procedures. After years of my own successful practice, I now pass on my knowledge and experience to the skincare professional. So they were pretty upset that I wasn't sending nurses to the Board of Cosmetology schools, and they were learning from me, another nurse, and I still do that to this day. And so this is how they love to end their cease and desists, like within 10 days of service of this order to cease and desist might request a hearing on whether such acts of practices in violation of the code. So yeah, I call them pit bulls with pinking shears, and they didn't speak too kind. They weren't too kind about that. Um, So, if you are out there and this is something that you like to perhaps get into, let me know. And again, there are so many different avenues that you can take throughout throughout your career. Again, my dear friend Heather has a foot care and nail institute, so she happily trains her nurses like a few other incidences of things that you can do. A legal nurse consultant, right? You don't need to have a physician to do that. We have all these years of nursing behind us. We can make our license work for us. So that's very important. There's even things like being a cannabis nurse. So this weekend, I'll be listening to a cannabis nurse at NASN Pro. And, as consultants, as nutritionists, we were taught nutrition. We were taught pharmacology in our schooling. So if you want to be a cannabis nurse and consult with clients who are prescribed but don't even know how to go about it, that's a whole nother field that nurses are involving themselves in, helping the public, and yet still not needing a uh, a doctor. So, Hennet, yes, okay. So you want Heather's number. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do this right now. How about if I hide that? And I'm going to share her screen here. So this is Heather's Facebook page, Foot and Nail Institute. She's been having a successful nail business for years and now trains other nurses to do it. She's particularly funny, and she does online trainings as well as in office trainings. So you can see her here. You can find her on TikTok. Heather Wilson is her name. And there she is providing a service. So, oh, 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 there we go. So this is her Facebook page. And let me scroll up to the top here so that you can see her information. Foot and Nail Institute. You might want to go there right now, Hennet, and take a peek. So if that's something that interests you, but I tell you what, um, if you guys are interested in starting that business, don't forget the National Nurses and Business Association is what I highly recommend. If you hit me up, I'll send you a special link to join, and you'll get all the details of the upcoming conference, which is super great. You'll meet so many different walks of life as a nurse in business. So, and Hedda, I know you had wanted or were thinking about the skincare portion of your business. But if foot care is your vibe, just know that you can do it. Um, I don't see any reason, but again, go to your board of nursing and maybe in the search bar, hit the word foot care or foot, something like that. See if there's anything that prohibits you from doing it. So check your rules and regulations that way, and you'll probably find that you're just fine to go. So don't wait any longer, you nurses out there. If you're really wanting to do it, now is the time to go for it. Like today, I was so happy. I got in my office at 7 o'clock to see clients. I was out by noon and on the golf course by 12:15. So I can round my days out any way I want. And I wasn't one of those nurses that was burned out, hated nursing. I know that's a big portion of the nurses that do get into business now. A nurse I just trained 2 weeks ago, he is sick and tired of riding the train from Jersey to New York to do his 3 days. So he just completed his course with me and he's going to open his own practice doing the services that I just showed you. And I have some videos and all to put up on my page that I needed to go over, and you'll see him in action. So it's something that now is the time. But like myself, I loved my nursing. I loved working in the operating room. It was like a pajama party every day. But when it comes down to it, I make a lot more money than I do as a surgical nurse, and that became quickly apparent. So for me, it was an easy leap of faith, and but a business is a business. It's not like you open and people run to you. You really need to work at it. Like, look at me right now. I am working. I am supporting everybody. I feel obligated to do that. I love to do it. I'm passionate about it. But to be honest, this is a lot of work, but I love it. And it remunerates me very well. And I make a great living. I'm not trying to fight for a parking spot at the hospital, or if I don't want to work a couple of weeks, I take off. I don't have to answer to anyone. So it's really important that if you're a nurse and you want to do this, hop in and do it now. It's really something that you can do, and you can do it 1 or 2 days a week to get started. You don't have to quit your day job. You can add to it 2 days a week into your new business. But in any regards, you really need to do it. So, oh, I like the skincare too. Good, good. Well, I'm here to help in case you ever need some help that way. And so, yes, so I'll leave you with this. And if there are any questions or anything comes up, please do not hesitate to private message me either here or in my private groups or on uh, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok. I'm all over the place. You can find me, I'm sure. So I'm going to say good night and thank you all very, very much for spending this time with me and kind of understanding a little bit more about the Nurse Practice Act, how it works for you, and if you have any pop-ups that you want to share, like this is what I found in my state regulation, share it with us because it's always helpful to know ahead of time what states maybe are of a concern. So I'm here to help with that as well. I hope to see a lot of you at the National Nurses and Business Association this August. I shall chat with you all later. Have a lovely evening, and thank you for watching and staying tuned to my channels. I appreciate it very much. Bye bye.